Alright, I'm going to go over section 6.3 in Geospatial Lab application 6.1. I am starting on page 217 in the textbook. Right above section 6.3, the last step in section 6.2 was to return to the query builder and clear all the filtered results, so that's what you're seeing here. What we're doing in this layer is using the results from the query to create a new layer in QGIS. So when you build a query, it says in step number 1, when you build a query, you can see the results in map view in the attribute table. But those results remain part of the layer you're querying. If you want to create a map of those results or use those results in future analysis, you have to move them into their own layer. That's what we'll do next. Build a query and export the results. To begin, right-click on Cal Structures and go to Properties. And we want to be back in our Query Builder, so if it doesn't pop up automatically, you'll click on Source and then Query Builder. Using step number 2, using the techniques from the previous section, build a query that finds all the values in the field called FC code that are equal to 74026. This is the code assigned to buildings that are classified as fire stations or EMS stations. So we need to find our field in the attribute table called FC code. And then since it says it's the code assigned to buildings, it's the code that's going to be in the attribute table. So we want it to equal that code. And we can also use our values part of this window by retrieving all the values in this field and click the one we want, 74026, and it will add into the query. So then we can go ahead and click OK. And OK. And we can see if we open our attribute table, we are going to have these filtered down to just the, FC codes. And if I sort it either way, it's always going to be 74026, just those fire stations and EMS. Turning on to page 218, to take these points and put them in their own layer, right-click on Cal Structures, include Save As. And this is where the Google Doc is helpful. On page 2 of the Google Doc, I added this in for section 6.3, 4, and 5, as these instructions have changed. So in the book, it's telling you to right-click and go to Save As. If you right-click and go, you won't find a Save As. Instead, as it says in the Google Doc, we're going to go to Export and Save Features As. From here, in the Save Vector Layer As dialog box that pops up, or box that opens up under Format, we're going to leave it as Esri shapefile. We'll rename that, it's number 6, I'm on page 218, number 6. It says Browse to your Chapter 6 QGIS folder. And you want to save this as Fire Stations. I already have a file named Fire Stations from a previous demo, so I'm going to save this as Fire Stations 4, just to identify it as the different one. You do not need the 4 there, unless you've done this a couple times. So then we'll click Save. In number 7, leave all other options the same and click OK. So you can see it's added our new layer, Fire Stations 4, and we can see we still have our filter turned on for our Cal Structures. But if we were to open that up and click on the Query Builder and clear the query, and make sure it's cleared here, let me go ahead and change this symbology so we can see the difference a little bit better. You can see here we still have a lot of fire stations in the gray, but we have some of those yellow things that aren't fire stations poking through. And as we zoom in, we can see more of them or more details. So it may look like nothing happened, but I do encourage you to change that symbology. Zoom in and out to see. All right, so number 9, it asks you return to the query builder and clear the filter, which we already did on Cal Structures, and it asks you to build a new query. So we'll go back to Properties. We'll click on Query Builder and build a new query that finds all the values in the field called FC code that are equal to 80012. So same as before, FC code equals, click on the values, and we want 80012. And this is the code assigned to buildings that are all classified as hospitals/medical centers. Moving on to page 219, I'm going to click OK and OK. And we can see, let's turn our fire stations off, that we've reduced down our structures so we can see it. Just the hospitals and medical centers. This asks you on page 219, number 10, after running the query, export the results just as you did before into a layer called hospitals. So again, we'll right click, and just like it says in the Google Doc on page 2, we'll go to export, save features as. We'll again check that we browse to our folder. Again, I already have a hospitals layer, but it asks you to save it as hospitals. I'm going to save it as hospitals 4 just to keep track. And save, and OK, keep all the defaults. And now we can see we have our hospitals added to our fire stations. And it asks you on page 219 and number 6.7 how many points are in the hospital layers. And that's what you could find if you right-clicked and opened up the attribute table. It now asks you to clear your filters. This is number 11 on 219. Clear the results of your query builder. Whoops, clear. Do that all the time. And we're back to having all of our cal structures. It also says in number 11 you can turn off the cal structures layer in the layers panel. So I'm going to turn back on my fire stations and my hospitals. You can reorganize them if you want to see hospitals better. We can change the symbology as needed. And that is a quick walkthrough on section 6.3 in Geospatial Lab 6.1.